Okay, let's talk about one of the biggest fixtures on the entire football calendar, the Manchester Derby. You could just feel the energy, right? The roar of the crowd at Old Trafford, that intense citywide tension, the sheer weight of history. I mean, it is a clash that splits a city right down the middle and grabs the whole world's attention. But today, we're going to try something a little different. We're going to look past the passion, past the pundits, and into the numbers. We're asking a really interesting question here. Can a sophisticated AI, using nothing but cold, hard data, actually predict the outcome of this epic rivalry? So, for just a moment, let's try to set aside our gut feelings, our team loyalties, all that emotional stuff. Let's dive into the data and see what the numbers are really telling us.
So, where are we getting this prediction from? Well, our guide on this data-driven journey is an analysis from the Gambler's Ruin Project. Now, these folks are all about applying really rigorous statistical analysis to sports, and the tool they're using is a pretty sophisticated piece of kit called Spectra AI. This isn't just your average prediction you'd see online. This is a super deep dive into statistical modeling, all designed to forecast what might actually happen out there on the pitch.
So, how on earth does this thing actually work? Well, Spectre AI is built on something called an ensemble model. And honestly, the best way to wrap your head around it is to think of it like a committee of experts. Instead of just relying on one single opinion, which might be biased or miss something, you bring together a whole team of different specialists. Each one has its own unique perspective, its own way of looking at the problem. And when you combine all their insights, you end up with a final decision that's way smarter and much more balanced.
And this is where it gets really, really cool, because we actually get to meet the members of this AI committee. It's not just one black box, it's 5 different models. You've got Random Forest, which is kind of like a huge collection of decision trees. Then there's Naive Bayes, which looks at probabilities based on how often things have happened in the past. Very historical. Then you have Light GBM and XGBoost. These are like the heavyweights, famous for being super accurate in data competitions. And finally, a neural network, which tries to mimic the human brain to spot really complex patterns that others might miss. But just look at how differently they see the game. The Naive Bayes model is screaming draw at nearly 60%. Maybe it's looking at past derbies and seeing a lot of tight contests. But then, on the other end of the spectrum, you have XGBoost, which is overwhelmingly confident in a Man City win, giving them over 64%. Each model also has a weight, which is basically how much its opinion matters in the final vote. It's like the chairman giving more speaking time to the most trusted advisor.
Right, and that leads us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? When your team of experts is all over the place, with some shouting draw and others screaming city win, how in the world do you arrive at a single clear answer? What happens when the experts are in total disagreement? And this chart, wow, it just lays it all out there, plain as day. This visualizes the problem perfectly. Just look at that massive gap in predicting a Manchester City victory. On one side, you've got the Naive Bayes model, giving them a tiny 18% chance. Again, maybe it's focused on how tough it is to win away in a derby. But then, at the complete opposite end, you have XGBoost, seeing City as the overwhelming favorites at over 64%. This is precisely why you can't just pick one model and run with it. You need a smarter system to sort through the noise and find the most likely truth somewhere in the middle. And this is where the magic really happens. This is the whole point of the unified ensemble model. It doesn't just take a simple average of all the opinions. No, it intelligently weighs each prediction. It looks at how accurate each model has been in the past and other performance factors, and it uses that information to synthesize all that conflicting data into one single coherent forecast. It's the ultimate tiebreaker, the final arbitrator that brings order to the chaos.
So, after all that complex modeling, after the AI committee has had its debate and the final votes have been carefully weighted, what is it? What is the official AI verdict for the Manchester Derby?
And here we have it. The final numbers are in. The AI gives Manchester United, the home team, a 24.5% chance of winning. It puts the probability of a draw at a pretty significant 34.39%, which tells you that a tight, hard-fought stalemate is a very real possibility. But the single most likely outcome, according to the machine, is a victory for the away side, Manchester City. Let's just zero in on that key takeaway for a second. The Spectra AI model lands on a 41.11% probability that Manchester City will walk out of Old Trafford with all 3 points. Now, it's really important to understand what that means. It's not a guarantee, not at all. It means that if you could play this exact game with these exact players and conditions 100 times, the AI predicts City would win about 41 of those matches.
So while it's the most probable single result, it also means there's a nearly 59% chance that something else happens, either a united win or that draw we talked about.
But wait, there's more. The AI gets even more granular than just predicting a winner. It actually calculates the most likely final scores. And topping that list is a 2-1 victory for Manchester City with an 8.7% chance. Right behind that is a 1-1 draw. What's so fascinating here is the story the data tells. All the top scorelines suggest a really close match. And importantly, every single one of the top 5 results has both teams scoring. So the AI is not predicting a blowout or a boring 0-0. It's predicting a tight, competitive game where both sides find the back of the net.
Okay, now before we get too carried away with all these fascinating numbers and predictions, it is incredibly important that we stop and put all of this into its proper context. This is about information and entertainment. It is not about giving advice. And the source material, the Gambler's Ruin Project, is absolutely crystal clear on this point. This AI prediction is for fun. It's for informational and entertainment purposes only. Football is beautiful because it's unpredictable, right? A moment of magic, a red card, a lucky bounce. That's why we love it. These numbers are just probabilities, they are not promises, and they should never ever be treated as financial or betting advice. And that brings us to our last and without a doubt our most important slide. You know, while data can add this really fun, fascinating new layer to the sports we all love, it is absolutely crucial to always gamble responsibly. If you or anyone you know might need a bit of help, please use the resources you see on the screen. The beautiful game is about passion. It's about community. So please enjoy the derby, enjoy the debate, and always, always keep it safe.